Mechanized harvesting is taking hold on the coast of British Columbia. With a vast amount of second growth timber now mature and ready for harvest, a growing number of forestry companies are finding mechanized harvesting to be a way to reap this resource economically. The criticisms of mechanized harvesting have been that the machines can't access every block, that a road is always needed, and that the economic and environmental costs are too great. Now, a solution is here. Introducing the newest advancement in mechanized harvesters, the TK1162 Heli-Logger. Innovation through partnership. The idea of the Heli-Logger began with Lyle McMurdo, Operations Superintendent for Weyerhaeuser, while reviewing some of the company's heli-logging opportunities near Powell River, BC.
The comment was made as we were discussing them that, you know, maybe we can get a machine up here somehow, and that would sure make it a lot better and more economical by bundling the wood, and would increase the payload on the helicopter and cut the costs and maybe bring it into the realm of possibility.
An innovative idea started to take shape. What about taking a mechanized harvesting machine apart, flying its individual components, then reassembling the machine in an isolated location? Was it technically possible, and could it be done economically? A team was quickly assembled, consisting of representatives from 5 independent companies, each with vested interests. Timber license holder Weyerhaeuser, harvesting contractor Tymat Contracting, equipment manufacturer Risley Manufacturing, heli-logging experts Canadian Air Crane, and equipment distributor Finning.
All of a sudden, 5 different independent companies coming together to work together toward a common goal. I mean, that's pretty exciting stuff.
After careful review, the team chose the TK1162 by Caterpillar as the machine to use.
Well, in our plant in Grand Prairie, we manufactured the Timber King for Caterpillar. So it was our initial design that we came up with. And based on that, we knew the fundamental critical areas that we had to deal with and that we could deal with. And from there, we had the blueprint for the machine, complete.
Risley faced the additional challenge of engineering and building a prototype jig that would be essential in allowing the machine to be disassembled and reassembled in isolated locations.
We had to go to work and develop a jig network that was able to place components of up to 17,000 pounds in a position that they could assemble it at that point with the helicopter not being there.
How the heck do you get an 80 to 90,000 pound piece of equipment onto a hillside, a remote, inaccessible hillside, and, you know, obviously you have to disassemble it. That was in itself a challenge.
Due to its innovative modular design, the TK1162 could be easily disassembled into 7 major components.
It just turned out that, by golly, all the parts and components, when we finally tallied up weights, was within the characteristic of the lift capacity of the Sikorsky 64. So when we all realized that, of course, it just was how are we going to put this package together so that it can be assembled, disassembled with 2 assemblers and an operator. So it was a great challenge.
After only a few short months of planning, engineering, manufacturing, and testing, the day came to put the Heli-Logger to the ultimate test by assembling it in the woods. The components were first carried on a barge across Powell Lake.
It was kind of the moment of truth. It wasn't a hurdle, it wasn't a blip, but it was that sort of moment of truth, like, what are we doing? What happens if this thing doesn't work? How am I going to explain this, you know? So.
On a hillside above the lake, a crew prepared the site where the Heli-Logger's components would be airlifted in and reassembled. A Canadian Air Crane Sikorsky 64 helicopter, capable of lifting up to 9 tons, arrived on the scene. It began by lifting the jig and the machine's counterweight into position, a lift of 17,500 pounds.
There was a lot of cheering and everything when the boys got that placed onto the wooden structure that was going to support the final lifts of the machine. So we knew if we got that 17.5 lift sitting down there and the boys could position it, we had a pretty good success rate at that point.
Next came the tracks, one at a time. Then, the tilting car body. The cab works, which consists of the operator's cab, engine, hydraulics, and electrical, was placed in position. Next, the boom, which included its own support jig. Finally, the processing head was positioned nearby for easy attachment.
The interesting part in all that is that I targeted 60 minutes. The chief pilot for Canadian Air Crane targeted 70 minutes. And the first time we did it, it was done in 64 minutes. So we kind of compromised on that.
We literally just let down components into place. So you can virtually take a 17,000 pound load and push it around by hand and thread the bolts in with your fingers to a great degree. And yeah, it's slick.
After just 14 hours, the TK1162 was fully assembled and ready to go to work.
I think we all thought it would work, but it was very refreshing when it went off without a hitch. It went really good.
I think the biggest accomplishment that came out of this project was the fact that we were able to pull all these groups together and develop solutions in a very, very short period of time. It was simply amazing to Caterpillar to see the cooperation and the effort that went into this with the results.
The success of the Heli-Logger concept opens up new opportunities for the team and for the industry as a whole.
Being able to put a piece of equipment in that naturally increases the safety level, reduces the risk and exposure people have standing at the base of trees. So this is a fairly important tool for us to put in our toolbox to be able to put people in safer locations.
There's a lot less road building. We're able to access the volume in these areas and work around retention areas, leaf patches. It looks really good because there aren't any roads carved on the side of the mountain to get at the block.
By being able to not go to the cost of building the roads into those areas, they're able to expand their harvesting area, get trees that otherwise would not have been able to harvest normally.
With a regular hand-falling operation, Canadian Air Crane takes into account a 13% waste wood factor.
When we first started talking about this, they just knocked it from 13% to 1%. They said there won't be any waste. Everything's bucked, everything's limbed, everything's trimmed. There'll be very little waste.
The TK1162 Heli-Logger offers 4 key benefits: improved worker safety, increased access to timber, reduced environmental impact, and increased heli-logging payload efficiency. The future for the TK1162 Heli-Logger is wide open and limited only by one's imagination.
What we're going to do is see an evolution of this machine spreading out and different concepts taking hold with the use of this application.
It's really exciting because it's just the tip of the iceberg. I think there's going to be a lot more that comes out of this. I think it's a very good tool that people will learn how to use in more efficient ways or better ways as we go.
That's the drive that we have every day when we get out of bed, is to achieve what we set out to do. And this is one that looks like we have a future, and it was made possible by a lot of unique situations that were just together at the right time in the right place.
And it turned out to be a real win-win for all groups. We developed better solutions, we developed techniques in logging that are going to have impact well out into the future.
Being a part of something that's quite revolutionary and perhaps the way of the future, being part of that has been a pretty exciting experience.
I think what we did with this whole heli-logging is we took it another step beyond by saying, well, not only is it economically viable, but we can do it in areas and ways and locations that we never dreamt of before. I mean, the energy that gets created and the enthusiasm that people have when all of a sudden they start to see that it works and makes sense, and to be in on the ground floor on some of this, that's exciting stuff.
The innovative TK1162 Heli-Logger. Some assembly required.